Well, I decided to spend about the last hour and a half looking into why Pope Francis every year washes the feet of prisoners and women and people of ill repute, so to speak. Um, and I've come across something rather interesting, and I wanted to share it with you. So I've written most of this out, and I'll add to it here as we go along. Christ washed the feet of his disciples for two reasons: as an act of humility and to set an example of service to others. Let's take a quick look at the context of what the Pope does and what Christ did. During the time Christ lived, it was a custom to wash the feet of those visiting your home. Today, we may take their coat and offer them a cup of coffee, or if the weather is warm, perhaps a cold beverage. Now, Christ had no home during his public ministry, so he didn't have the opportunity to do this. But still, if God the Father wanted Jesus to wash the feet of an outcast person and to set this example, I am sure that there'd be a something in the Bible about this. Um, Perhaps when he was visiting Martha and Mary, Father would have a lowly person visit, and Christ would have insisted he wash that person's feet. The point is that Christ did this to those that were to become his priests and to no one else. Christ's washing of the disciples' feet was specific to this setting. The truth is, as I see it, that for a very long time the church has gotten away from the specific meaning of the service. Pope Francis has taken it a big step further in washing the feet of prisoners. Now, here's what I found out. Um, Today, there are still Holy Thursday services that wash the feet of seminarians or other priests. See, so it gets back to the original meaning and the context of why Christ does this. Now, so I decided to look up using Google search, why is it that Pope Francis does this? And I actually came across the answer to this, and I'll leave the link in the at the end of the video and in the description box. But an article of a couple of years ago, he said Pope Francis told an Italian newspaper his reason for visiting prisoners on Holy Thursday was straightforward. It's what Jesus told his followers to do. Now, all right, here, okay, now there's nothing here about foot washing, okay? This is what Pope Francis is telling a newspaper, that his reason for visiting prisoners, not for washing their feet, but for visiting prisoners on Holy Thursday was straightforward. Okay, so it's what Jesus told his followers to do. Well, we do have things in the Bible about visiting prisoners. So, but not about washing their feet. Okay. Now he goes on to say, quote, the gospel passage on the universal judgment says, "I was a prisoner and you visited me." The pontiff says in an interview with Italy's La Repubblica, April 13th. This is Jesus' mandate for all of us, but especially the bishop, who is the father of everyone. So again, he's saying, I was a prisoner and you visited me, but it says nothing about, Jesus doesn't tell us to wash the feet of other people. Again, the washing of the feet has specifically to do with showing those that are going to become his priests, okay, um, this act of humility and this act of service to others. Okay, all right. Now, this has been going on for I don't know how long. I mean, perhaps for many centuries. It's really gotten really very far away from what the original meaning of what the foot washing is all about. But like I said, I Googled why does Pope Francis wash prisoners' feet, and there's several articles on the Google search page um, that that has articles about parishes and even some bishops washing the feet of seminarians. Okay, so that makes a lot of sense. Okay, so the fact is that many popes have wandered far, and for how long, I don't know. I don't know when all this went wrong, but as far as I'm concerned, it's really gone very wrong. And unfortunately, Pope Francis has taken this one big step further. So I'm going to leave the link to this specific article where the Pope says what he says. And I hope you found this helpful. I hope you to keep it in context that when you go to, which I hope all of you do, go to Holy Thursday Mass tomorrow, and you see a priest washing the feet of just some people who were picked. This is not really the meaning of what Christ intended. Um, I mean, one can stretch this further and say, what the priest is doing is to instill into the people who are having their feet washed and to the congregation in general this sense of humility and service to others. And I think probably that's really how the whole thing evolved over the centuries. But the original meaning of this is something very different. And, I just really don't care for the service of washing other people's feet. I always thought there was something not right about it, something never really sat right with me. And I'm glad I spent the last hour and a half or 2 hours researching all this. And, it would be really nice to see seminarians there, maybe mixed in with a couple of other priests, to see that part of the service. But if anyone has any thoughts about this, I'd appreciate it if you'd, leave a comment, and perhaps other people will respond. I will. So I thought all this was interesting, and I thought I'd just go ahead and bring this to you today. Well, good day to you, and we'll talk to you next time.